Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daily Dose of English. I'm Tom, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. How are you feeling right now? Are you ready to improve your English? I hope you are, because today we have a fantastic lesson planned for you. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something that every single person does: daily routines. Yes, the things we do every day, from morning until night. But we're not just going to learn vocabulary. We're going to practice speaking, build your confidence, and help you sound more natural when you talk about your day in English. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to describe your entire day using natural English expressions. You'll learn how to talk about time in different ways. You'll practice useful phrases that native speakers use every day. And most importantly, you'll speak a lot. We'll use a special technique called shadowing. This means you'll listen to me say something and then you'll repeat it. This is one of the best ways to improve your pronunciation and speaking fluency. Don't worry if you make mistakes. That's how we learn. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, find a comfortable place to sit, and let's begin this journey together. Remember, the key to learning English is practice, practice, practice. And today we're going to practice a lot. Main lesson: time expressions and daily activities. Let's start with something very important: how to talk about time in English. There are many different ways to express time, and native speakers use all of them. Let me teach you the most common ones. First, let's learn how to say the time. When it's exactly on the hour, we say it's 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock. Now you repeat. It's 7 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock. Now you repeat. But what about when it's not exactly on the hour? We have several options. It's 3:15. It's 3:15. Now you repeat. Or we can say it's 3:15. It's 3:15. Now you repeat. For 30 minutes past the hour, it's 3:30. It's 3:30. Now you repeat. Or it's 3:30. It's 3:30. Now you repeat. Here's something interesting. In British English, people often say 3:30 to mean 3:30. But be careful. In some other languages, this would mean 2:30, not 3:30. English can be tricky sometimes. Now let's learn some useful time expressions that will make you sound more natural. I wake up early in the morning. I wake up early in the morning. Now you repeat. I usually get up around 7. I usually get up around 7. Now you repeat. I have breakfast at about 8. I have breakfast at about 8. Now you repeat. Notice how we use around and about when we're not being exact about time. This is very natural in English. We don't always say the exact minute. Let's continue with more daily routine vocabulary. I take a shower. I take a shower. Now you repeat. I brush my teeth. I brush my teeth. Now you repeat. I get dressed. I get dressed. Now you repeat. I have a cup of coffee. I have a cup of coffee. Now you repeat. Now let's put these together into longer sentences. After I wake up, I take a shower. After I wake up, I take a shower. Now you repeat. Before breakfast, I always brush my teeth. Before breakfast, I always brush my teeth. Now you repeat. I get dressed while listening to music. I get dressed while listening to music. Now you repeat. let me teach you about frequency adverbs. These are words that tell us how often we do something. I always eat breakfast. I always eat breakfast. Now you repeat. I usually drink coffee. I usually drink coffee. Now you repeat. I often check my phone. I often check my phone. Now you repeat. I sometimes skip lunch. I sometimes skip lunch. Now you repeat. I rarely eat fast food. I rarely eat fast food. Now you repeat. I never smoke cigarettes. I never smoke cigarettes. Now you repeat. Did you notice the order? Always is 100%, usually is about 80%, often is 60%, sometimes is 40%, rarely is 10%, and never is 0%. This is a great way to add variety to your English. Practice section. Building complex sentences. Now let's practice building more complex sentences about daily routines. We'll start simple and add more details. I go to work. I go to work. Now you repeat. I go to work by bus. I go to work by bus. Now you repeat. I usually go to work by bus. I usually go to work by bus. Now you repeat. I usually go to work by bus at 8:30. Let's break this down. I usually go to work. I usually go to work. Now you repeat. By bus at 8:30. By bus at 8:30. Now you repeat. Now the full sentence. I usually go to work by bus at 8:30. I usually go to work by bus at 8:30. Now you repeat. Great job. Let's try another one. I have lunch. I have lunch. Now you repeat. I have lunch with my colleagues. I have lunch with my colleagues. Now you repeat. I often have lunch with my colleagues. I often have lunch with my colleagues. Now you repeat. I often have lunch with my colleagues in the cafeteria. Let's break it down. I often have lunch. I often have lunch. Now you repeat. With my colleagues. With my colleagues. Now you repeat. In the cafeteria. In the cafeteria. Now you repeat. Full sentence. I often have lunch with my colleagues in the cafeteria. I often have lunch with my colleagues in the cafeteria. Now you repeat. Now let's practice some evening routine sentences. I leave work at 5. I leave work at 5. Now you repeat. I get home around 6. I get home around 6. Now you repeat. I cook dinner for my family. I cook dinner for my family. Now you repeat. We eat together at 7. We eat together at 7. Now you repeat. After dinner, I wash the dishes. After dinner, I wash the dishes. Now you repeat. I watch TV for an hour. I watch TV for an hour. Now you repeat. I go to bed at 11. I go to bed at 11. Now you repeat. Let's learn some useful connecting words that make your English flow better. First I wake up. First I wake up. Now you repeat. Then I take a shower. Then I take a shower. Now you repeat. After that I have breakfast. After that I have breakfast. Now you repeat. Next I brush my teeth. Next I brush my teeth. Now you repeat. Finally I leave for work. Finally I leave for work. Now you repeat. These connecting words are like magic. They make your English sound so much more natural and organised. Storytelling. Real-life conversations. Now let's practice with some real conversations. I'll be two different people, and you'll practice shadowing both parts. Conversation 1. Meeting a new colleague. Person A. Hi, I don't think we've met. I'm Sarah. Let's practice. Hi, I don't think we've met. Hi, I don't think we've met. Now you repeat. I'm Sarah. I'm Sarah. Now you repeat. Person B, nice to meet you, Sarah. I'm David. I just started working here last week. Let's practice. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Now you repeat. I'm David. I'm David. Now you repeat. I just started working here last week. Let's break it down. I just started. I just started. Now you repeat. Working here last week. Working here last week. Now you repeat. Person A. Oh, welcome. What time do you usually get here in the morning? Let's practice. Oh, welcome. Oh, welcome. Now you repeat. What time do you usually get here? What time do you usually get here? Now you repeat. In the morning? In the morning. Now you repeat. Person B. I try to arrive by 8:30, but sometimes the traffic is terrible. Let's practice. I try to arrive by 8:30. I try to arrive by 8:30. Now you repeat. But sometimes the traffic is terrible. But sometimes the traffic is terrible. Now you repeat. Person A. I know what you mean. I take the subway to avoid traffic. Let's practice. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Now you repeat. I take the subway. I take the subway. Now you repeat. To avoid traffic, to avoid traffic. Now you repeat. Conversation 2. Talking about weekend routines. Person A. What do you usually do on weekends? Let's practice. What do you usually do? What do you usually do? Now you repeat. On weekends. On weekends. Now you repeat. Person B. On Saturdays, I like to sleep in. I don't set an alarm. Let's practice. On Saturdays. On Saturdays. Now you repeat. I like to sleep in. I like to sleep in. Now you repeat. I don't set an alarm. I don't set an alarm. Now you repeat. Person A. That sounds nice. I wish I could do that, but I have kids. Let's practice. That sounds nice. That sounds nice. Now you repeat. I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. Now you repeat. But I have kids. But I have kids. Now you repeat. Person B. Oh, I bet they wake up early. What time do they usually get up? Let's practice. Oh, I bet they wake up early. Let's break it down. Oh, I bet. Oh, I bet. Now you repeat. They wake up early. They wake up early. Now you repeat. What time do they usually get up? What time do they usually get up? Now you repeat. Person A. Around 6:30, even on weekends, but I enjoy making breakfast with them. Let's practice. Around 6:30. Around 6:30. Now you repeat. Even on weekends. Even on weekends. Now you repeat. But I enjoy making breakfast with them. But I enjoy making breakfast with them. Now you repeat. Now let me tell you a short story about my typical day. Listen carefully and try to picture it in your mind. My alarm goes off at 6 o'clock. My alarm goes off at 6 o'clock. Now you repeat. But I don't get up right away. But I don't get up right away. Now you repeat. I hit the snooze button once. I hit the snooze button once. Now you repeat. Or maybe twice, or maybe twice. Now you repeat. Finally, I get out of bed at 6:15. Finally, I get out of bed at 6:15. Now you repeat. I stumble to the bathroom. I stumble to the bathroom. Now you repeat. I splash cold water on my face. I splash cold water on my face. Now you repeat. This helps me wake up. This helps me wake up. Now you repeat. I take a quick shower. I take a quick shower. Now you repeat. I use my favourite shampoo. I use my favourite shampoo. Now you repeat. It smells like mint. It smells like mint. Now you repeat. Very refreshing. Very refreshing. Now you repeat. After my shower, I get dressed. After my shower, I get dressed. Now you repeat. I choose comfortable clothes. I choose comfortable clothes. Now you repeat. Usually jeans and a t-shirt. Usually jeans and a t-shirt. Now you repeat. Then I go to the kitchen. Then I go to the kitchen. Now you repeat. I make a strong cup of coffee. I make a strong cup of coffee. Now you repeat. I can't function without it. I can't function without it. Now you repeat. For breakfast, I keep it simple. For breakfast, I keep it simple. Now you repeat. Toast with butter and jam. Toast with butter and jam. Now you repeat. Sometimes I add a banana. Sometimes I add a banana. Now you repeat. If I'm really hungry. If I'm really hungry. Now you repeat. I check my phone while eating. I check my phone while eating. Now you repeat. I read the news. I read the news. Now you repeat. I check my messages. I check my messages. Now you repeat. Sometimes I watch a short video. Sometimes I watch a short video. Now you repeat. Before leaving, I brush my teeth. Before leaving, I brush my teeth. Now you repeat. I pack my lunch. I pack my lunch. Now you repeat. I grab my keys and wallet. I grab my keys and wallet. Now you repeat. And I'm ready to go. And I'm ready to go. Now you repeat. I leave home at 7:30. I leave home at 7:30. Now you repeat. I walk to the train station. I walk to the train station. Now you repeat. It takes about 10 minutes. It takes about 10 minutes. Now you repeat. The train arrives at 7:45. The train arrives at 7:45. Now you repeat. Sometimes it's late. Sometimes it's late. Now you repeat. Which is annoying. Which is annoying. Now you repeat. During my commute, I listen to podcasts. During my commute, I listen to podcasts. Now you repeat. Or I study English. Or I study English. Now you repeat. The journey takes 40 minutes. The journey takes 40 minutes. Now you repeat. I arrive at work by 8:30. I arrive at work by 8:30. Now you repeat. I say hello to my colleagues. I say hello to my colleagues. Now you repeat. I make another cup of coffee. I make another cup of coffee. Now you repeat. Then I start my work day. Then I start my work day. Now you repeat. More practice. Questions and answers. Now let's practice asking and answering questions about daily routines. This is very important for real conversations. What time do you wake up? What time do you wake up? Now you repeat. I wake up at 7 o'clock. I wake up at 7 o'clock. Now you repeat. Do you have breakfast every day? Do you have breakfast every day? Now you repeat. Yes, I always have breakfast. Yes, I always have breakfast. Now you repeat. How do you get to work? How do you get to work? Now you repeat. I drive to work. I drive to work. Now you repeat. Or, I take the bus to work. I take the bus to work. Now you repeat. What do you do in the evening? What do you do in the evening? Now you repeat. I usually relax at home. I usually relax at home. Now you repeat. When do you go to bed? When do you go to bed? Now you repeat. I go to bed around 11. I go to bed around 11. Now you repeat. Or let's practice some negative sentences too. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee. Now you repeat. I don't work on Sundays. I don't work on Sundays. Now you repeat. I don't like waking up early. I don't like waking up early. Now you repeat. I don't eat meat. I don't eat meat. Now you repeat. I don't watch TV in the morning. I don't watch TV in the morning. Now you repeat. Now let's learn how to talk about past routines. Yesterday I woke up late. Yesterday I woke up late. Now you repeat. I didn't have breakfast. I didn't have breakfast. Now you repeat. I rushed to work. I rushed to work. Now you repeat. I arrived 5 minutes late. I arrived 5 minutes late. Now you repeat. My boss wasn't happy. My boss wasn't happy. Now you repeat. And future plans. Tomorrow I will wake up earlier. Tomorrow I will wake up earlier. Now you repeat. I'm going to have a big breakfast. I'm going to have a big breakfast. Now you repeat. I'll leave home by 7. I'll leave home by 7. Now you repeat. I won't be late again. I won't be late again. Now you repeat. Here's a cultural note. In English-speaking countries, being on time is very important, especially for work and appointments. If you're going to be late, it's polite to call or send a message. We say better late than never, but it's even better to be on time. Advanced practice, describing others' routines. Now let's practice talking about other people's routines. This is useful when you're telling stories or explaining someone's schedule. My sister wakes up very early. My sister wakes up very early. Now you repeat. She goes jogging at 5 a.m. She goes jogging at 5 a.m. Now you repeat. She runs for 30 minutes. She runs for 30 minutes. Now you repeat. Then she takes a cold shower. Then she takes a cold shower. Now you repeat. I think she's crazy. I think she's crazy. Now you repeat. My roommate has a different schedule. My roommate has a different schedule. Now you repeat. He works night shifts. He works night shifts. Now you repeat. He sleeps during the day. He sleeps during the day. Now you repeat. He eats breakfast at dinner time. He eats breakfast at dinner time. Now you repeat. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. Now you repeat. My parents are retired. My parents are retired. Now you repeat. They don't have a strict routine. They don't have a strict routine. Now you repeat. They wake up when they want. They wake up when they want. Now you repeat. They enjoy their freedom. They enjoy their freedom. Now you repeat. Useful expressions and idioms. Let me teach you some common expressions native speakers use when talking about daily life. I'm an early bird. I'm an early bird. Now you repeat. This means I like waking up early. I like waking up early. Now you repeat. I'm a night owl. I'm a night owl. Now you repeat. This means I prefer staying up late. I prefer staying up late. Now you repeat. I need my beauty sleep. I need my beauty sleep. Now you repeat. This means I need enough sleep to feel good. I need enough sleep to feel good. Now you repeat. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. Now you repeat. This means I don't like mornings. I don't like mornings. Now you repeat. Time flies when you're having fun. Time flies when you're having fun. Now you repeat. This means time seems to go quickly when you enjoy something. Let's practice the short version. Time flies. Time flies. Now you repeat. Better late than never. Better late than never. Now you repeat. This means it's better to arrive late than not at all. It's better to arrive late than not at all. Now you repeat. Common mistakes to avoid. Let me help you avoid some common mistakes students make. Wrong. I am wake up at 7. Correct. I wake up at 7. I wake up at 7. Now you repeat. Wrong. I am going to home. Correct. I am going home. I am going home. Now you repeat. Wrong. I eat the breakfast. Correct. I eat breakfast. I eat breakfast. Now you repeat. Wrong. I sleep at 10 o'clock at night. Correct. I sleep at 10 o'clock at night. I sleep at 10 o'clock at night. Now you repeat. Wrong. I'm going to shopping. Correct. I'm going shopping. I'm going shopping. Now you repeat. Remember, articles a and the can be tricky. We say have breakfast, not have the breakfast. We say go to work, not go to the work. But we do say go to the office or go to the gym. English is full of these little exceptions. Recap and call to action. Wow, we've covered so much today. Let's quickly review what you've learned. You can now talk about time in different ways. You know how to describe your morning routine, your workday, and your evening activities. You've learned useful connecting words like first, then, after that, and finally. You can ask and answer questions about daily routines. You know common expressions like early bird and night owl. And most importantly, you've practiced speaking. Remember, the key to improving your English is daily practice. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference. Try to describe your routine in English every morning. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Record yourself and listen back. Use the shadowing technique we practiced today. Here's your homework. Tomorrow morning, describe everything you do in English. Say it out loud. Now I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'm making coffee. Now I'm checking my email. It might feel silly at first, but it really works. If you enjoyed this lesson, please subscribe to Daily Dose of English. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Leave a comment below and tell me about your daily routine. What time do you wake up? What's your favourite part of the day? I read all your comments and I'd love to hear from you. Remember, learning English is a journey, not a race. Be patient with yourself, celebrate small victories, and keep practicing every single day. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm proud of you for studying English. This is Tom from Daily Dose of English, reminding you that every day is a chance to improve. Keep speaking, keep practicing,